Oh, yes. This Union of Concerned Scientists, yes. It seems that there's a sea level problem, and what's next for the coastal residents? Yes. I had wanted to protect Venice and use a desalinator. Yeah. And I'm concerned that there's no. Uh, did you get those? Oh. The losing coastal real estate bust. Oh, waterfront. Threat of rising seas pose to U.S. housing market. These mortgage-backed security subprime loans and credit default swaps. Yes. You know, when you have a desalinator that can heat water up to 2,500 to 5,000 degrees. Yes. Is there any reason why I wouldn't put small desalinators out in front of freshwater real estate so as to steam the water into the upper atmosphere? Why don't you give me the subprime loans? It seems that there's been some problems since the credit crisis. Yes! Now I know. It seems overlaid this data with underwater rising seas, chronic floods, and implications of U.S. coastal real estate. Now, if you ran one of these hurricanes into a desalinator, yeah, um, I wonder if it could be designed. Let's say you had a hurricane. They're big, are they? Yeah. How many miles across is a hurricane? A couple miles? Yeah. And it's flowing through the hurricane, and you heat the hurricane up to maybe 3 to 4,000 degrees. Yes. Is there any way that that amount of steam would slow down a hurricane? Let's say I had one of these. Yes. It's a good sized one. Well, it's as big as a small mountain, but it floats. I told you that it's submersible. Yes. And I decide to pump the water out of the bottom of it, turn it off, and float it over to a location that would be in front of a hurricane. Yes. Then I load it up full of water. I turn it on, and I allow the hur. Well, I mean, I'm not trying to stop a hurricane or anything. Yes. But since it is submersible, there's nothing to say that it can't be floated to different locations. You could tugboat it. Now, this whole concept of sea level rising. Is there any reason why I'm being obstructed from steaming unnecessary amounts of water in front of coastal towns? Yes, yes. And these big multi-billion gallon desalinators made out of recycled tires. Yes. And then you remember I was telling you about that metal that I make. Oh. And it's like I don't know, 4,000 square feet or something, and it's approximately 6 inches thick. Yes. And the desalinator itself, the floor of it's 4 times as big, 16,000 square feet. If you put a wall of very hot steam in front of a hurricane, yes. Now I know you're saying that well, what happens when you have this big wall of 3,000 degree steam in front of a hurricane and the winds hit it? Yes. Does it heat it up? Now, let's say I got this type of innovation that could obstruct hurricanes just by pulling it into the path of a hurricane so that I'm steaming billions of gallons. Now, I know. Okay, I know. Why don't you get me all the timing mechanisms of all the supercomputers throughout the world? And then design one of these desalinators so that piece of metal, yes, that is 6 inches thick, yes, that was smeltered at approximately 5,000 degrees, yes, it's actually 16,000 square feet in diameter, and the floor of the 7-story stall desalinator, yep. four times, it'd be 64,000 square feet. Yes. But when well, it's a flotation device. Yes, it is. And it's big. I'll tell you that right now. It's big. But when I can just pump some water in there, then turn the HHO gas desalinator on after it's submerged approximately 3 to 4 inches below the seabed. No, the top of the ocean. If I had, 16,000 square feet of 4,000 degree, could that in some way kind of dissolve a hurricane at approximately 120-mile-per-hour winds? What happens when 120-mile-per-hour wind hits 4,000 degrees of?